you do a lot of work in leadership, helping both in your coaching with leaders, but also in leadership programs and training. What are some of the things when people come into leadership programs that they don't yet realize that their people really, really need?
I think a big theme that I've been seeing more so recently is the visibility um, aspect of it. So there is in the idea of in terms of leadership, yes, you need to be there for your team, you need to support your team and empower your team and move them forward with goals. And there's usually performance metrics tied to that. And a lot of the time, what I hear, at least from on the front lines side of things, is that leadership doesn't show their faces enough and there's no visibility, right? And then I'm in a room with a bunch of leaders and we're talking about different concepts in leadership development, it's something they kind of know, but they don't really know what visibility actually means or what that actually looks like. And so I think basic leadership, if we're talking that way, is really, are you showing up for your people? And how are you showing up with your people? Those would be the common things that I see, is definitely the visibility thing, and that leadership, they will listen to their staff, they will take the feedback, but then on the other side, it's often felt, and the impact of that is that feedback's not being implemented. So people feel like they're not being really heard and their ideas aren't going anywhere. And that's also because leadership, they have their own battles that they're kind of working through as well. And so there's a disconnect of, well, this is what my staff and my team is doing, and then this is what we think leadership is doing as well. And there's often a very big gap and a very big disconnect with those two differences. So I think it's about getting an understanding from both sides, more exploration around what it is as a whole team that's happening. So really encouraging that team environment versus so much us versus them type of thing.
Mm. One of the things that I also know about you and the way that you coach and the way that you facilitate is really coming from the heart. So I know you're really big on empathy and emotional intelligence, and I know, and of course, you teach people about resilience and so on. And in business, I still see a lot of people focusing on more of the technical side, more of that, say, left brain logical type approach. How do you help those logical types to get in touch with that more caring and more empathetic side of themselves, especially as leaders?
Yeah, thank you for that. I I've worked with quite a number of logical thinkers in my day, and I find it's almost like I have to be courageous enough to walk into that type of conversation with them, whether it's I'm coaching one-on-one or I'm coaching teams or I'm facilitating. And it is really asking a direct question around, you know, just first to start the conversation and say, well, what do you think about this? And how do you see this show up in your day to day, or how do you see this show up in your work? So I have to be able to recognize who those people are and then be courageous enough to really walk into a conversation with them that comes from my own non-judgment, open space, which then helps and supports them to kind of walk into that conversation with me. And I always will try to, when facilitating and showing, empathy and compassion and integrity is the way, is to really try that on. Like, what if it were this way instead of that way? I get that this is your reality and this is how you see it. Let's try on a new way. What would you see now? Like, let's play with this. Let's just see. We don't know what we're going to see from this point of view, but let's play with it. So I very much do use a lot of different perspectives in any conversation that I'm in. And it sometimes is I have to challenge in the sense that if there's resistance or pushback, what I often find is working really well is that I need to be able to listen to that person. I need to be able to validate what they're saying and draw out what it is they're saying and reflect that back to them. Because now I'm demonstrating I'm here. I see you, I hear you. Let's see what else is possible.
So
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is that you're really modeling that emotional intelligence. You're not pushing anything onto them, you're listening, you're opening the door for a new possibility in a gentle way.
Exactly. That's that. Accurate.